How's it going, everyone? It is Friday, October 4th, 2024. Let's get into the video for today. Yesterday, I gave a pick on PLTR as an overnight swing. Here is the setup on the stock. It was a nice bullish trend, good price action, good volume, good liquidity. So I compressed and broken out of that compression, bouncing off that 8 EMA. So yesterday, took the trade, not the best entry intraday, but took it around 38.92, and then got out at around 38.91 on this gap up. So took about a little less than $1 on that stock. That was a nice move. One potential improvement for the trade is you can see how it wasn't. If you look at the market yesterday and PLTR yesterday, I mean, you get a better entry off of VWAP. So I can probably could have gotten it 30 cents cheaper. And that would have been an extra 30 cents of profit at the same area. So one little improvement, but that was a nice win on PLTR. I'm just going to mark that as a win. First win of October. Has not been. We started off on a bit of a slow start. Coin could have been a win, but didn't manage that the best that we could have. That is okay. Sometimes you hit some rough patches and you just got to trade through them. The other one we have open right now is WBA. And this stock here popped up. It did pop up a little with the market. What's looking like right now is that we might potentially be forming more horizontal channel. I'm not sure if we'll test this low or not, and I'm not sure if we'll break through. So we had a breakdown here, and it was actually a failed breakout going back in the range. My chances, I may have to potentially take the loss here. You can see that, first of all, this horizontal channel has been broken, and now we're potentially forming what looks like over here, or sorry, this is a downward sloping channel here. We may potentially be shifting into a horizontal channel, and my entry may not be super good. So I may try to take the smaller loss at the bottom of the channel. You could also add to the top and then take profits at the bottom. We'll have to see what it does. If the market's pretty bullish, I think that I'm not sure if we'll break down or not. So WBA looking like it could be a loss here, but I'm still not panicking on the position. It's still pretty weak relative to the market overall, and I'll have plenty of time to get out of this. If you look at any weak stock, I know CVS comes to mind because I was looking at it on the long side here. If you look at any kind of weak stock that had a big move down, let me zoom out a little bit here. So massive move down, right? I mean, you have a lot of times, obviously, this would be an unfortunate short, but there's a lot of times where the stock actually ends up selling off over here, right? And it forms a base. So it's going to take a while for this to form a base, and actually will have my chance to exit this position at some point in the future. I'm not sure when. Earnings are coming up, though, so probably before earnings, hopefully before earnings. Yeah, that is WBA. Let's take a look at what the market is doing today. And I actually have QQQ up. So, today, SPY, if I actually should be able to hide the drawings here. Oh, perfect. What's the hide? Well, there we go. Oh, yeah. These keyboard shortcuts, amazing. Control J, hide drawings. Then Control H. Oh, shoot, what is my hide show? Oh, indicators, Control J and Control I. There we go. Okay. Still got to master this. So let's just take a look at a naked SPY view over here. Just a price action. You can see that this stock, or not this stock, market has just been compressing. We got a gap up over here. This gap ups have been faded. We're actually forming a bit of a tail here, which is quite bullish. But we're still in this range, pretty much between 575 and 565. So we're still in this compression range over here. Oh, aha, okay. So obviously we're stacking the SMAs. we were kind of chopping around that A VWAP Q. And it kind of makes sense. Here's the triple witching that we anchored to, low volume. So market's not really going to do anything. It's just going to kind of hover around these areas. 8 EMA sort of approximating that level. So longer term, technically, nothing has really changed. Fundamentally, though, we did have a very bullish jobs number. And I'm going to pull up that report right here. We were expecting 140K of payrolls. We got 254K, so big bump. Unemployment came a little bit lighter. Average 4.1 versus 4.2 expected. Average hourly earnings 0.4 versus 0.3, so a little bit hotter. But I think the number has not carried as much weight given that the overall core inflation has been coming down. It's coming lower. We're starting to see the rate cuts. So that's pretty bullish for the economy overall, and that's actually good for a longer-term bullish outlook on the market. It reduces the chance of any sort of economic, economic downturn. If there's any sort of soft patch or recession fears, right, that probability has gone down. So that is bullish long term. So fundamentally, that makes us a little bit more bullish. I'd say honestly, there's nothing really too bearish fundamentally, especially after this number. I mean, the economy's still looking good. GDP growth we're going to get the first look at Q3 next month at the end of October. So that'll be an important number, but GDP growth is still looking good. Our ISM services is still in expansion territory. That's important. Unemployment is still low. We're still adding jobs. We still have AI runways. That's kind of a thing. Election's not going to be a big deal. So the main things that drive corporate earnings, right? The macro backdrop for corporate earnings is getting more bullish. So that is pretty much on the table. Now, technically, short term here, we're still pretty neutral until we break out of this range. So if I actually see if I can do this right here. There we go. Okay. So this blue line is that intraday range between 570 and 560. So it looks like we're kind of getting out of that. But over here, we're in this big, let me actually delete that one here. And let's just delete these for now because it's kind of a lot. Okay, whoops. Almost got it right. So Control X. There we go. Ooh, getting better at these keyboard shortcuts. So this is our wide range that we're in that we're just sort of really unable to break. You could even draw it to somewhere like 574 if you wanted it to. Maybe that's a little better. You get a little bit of pokes above it. Nothing really too crazy. So market's trapped here. Break out, get long, break down, get short, but I'm being extra patient and being extra light, not really taking too much here with any sort of real size. Okay, so let's take a look at the market when we're on an intraday basis. Nice. Okay, let's bring back the indicators. Oh, there we go. Okay. So looking just at this M30 chart and zooming out a little bit here, maybe an H1 chart is going to be a little bit better. There we go. I'm just going to hide these. Okay, so market, as you can see, is in a very choppy pattern. Not really going, if a gap up, gets faded. Long tail moves up, so not really getting any follow through in any direction. Not a lot of momentum in any direction. And we're still slightly bearish in my opinion. Until we kind of get through this downward sloping trend line. Until we get out of that channel, we're not going to be any, not really going to change our buys on the short term. But this is just a choppy, janky price action that we're seeing. Let's take a look at the M5. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Well, I don't remember why I did Control I. I is for indicators. There we go. Okay. So yesterday, I mentioned it in that video too, but it's really just some pure garbage here. I mean, this is pure garbage. This was sort of the move of the day, I guess. Right? We got to suck in here over here, get a break through the low of the day. At this low, this is where you got to take profits because you're not expecting follow through. We're at the bottom of the range and then pretty much dies for the rest of the day. So here, we got to move early in the day. SPY has put in this bottom. We made a big move, and to me, here's kind of what I see. Okay, this is pretty much what I see right here. So we have this, decent, this move down is okay. We get some acceleration, but then buyers are here gobbling, gobbling, gobbling. We form this double bottom. We start creeping a little bit higher. And we are kind of in this wide, let's say this wide bullish channel. I don't know if I have drawn that. That might be a little bit too wide. Not quite parallel. So we're kind of in this wide bullish channel over here, right? And so buyers try to get something going, knock down, get something going, knock down. Now buyers are getting a little bit more control here. We're rubbing against the top, so we could see that breakout to the high. But right now, I think the selling pressure is still decent from the bottom here. It's getting more and more bullish, but I don't have really strong convictions one way or the other. If anything, I'm still expecting a fill of the low of the day. Let's see if I'm right. My bias is that usually, right, when we have a move kind of strong in the morning, so if you look at just the first 30 minutes of the day, right, we'll get this strong move to the gap. We have a pretty good chance of filling it. We have some volume, we have some momentum. Now, we get some fighting over here, and this fighting tells us that, okay, it's getting a little bit more stubborn. We may fill the gap, but we're probably not going to break through it. We need a lot of stacked red candles. These tall bounces that retrace this whole candle tells us that buyers are engaged. So we're probably not going to break through. So you can see that we form some support right at the high. I usually look to the close, but we form some support. Sellers give it another shot at VWAP, doesn't work through. Sellers give it a second shot at VWAP. Buyers come up over here, and we're actually able to break through this little relative high at around 570-ish. And now we're retesting that level. So it is looking bullish at the moment. So I think the best thing we can do is potentially find some relatively strong longs here. So I'm going to look at my tags. It's kind of an interesting day just to find some picks that are working. So I'm going to look at a couple of searches over here. I just wanted to find something that has some good volume. Is above all of its moving averages. So here's a pretty basic search that I do. It's actually automatically set up. So here's a strong stock. Let's see that it has some decent volume today. Okay, 29 items. Should be above both of these. 17 items. Should already be on a D1 buy signal. Or actually might not be, but usually an H1 trade signal. Okay. There we go. So we got a pretty quick list right there. And let's see how these stocks are doing. So CG. That's a nice breakout. Has to get through this gap. Could be a pretty good swing, honestly, if it can hold through this gap. Yeah, has to get through. I set that alert earlier today. So CG looks pretty good. CHX, nice choppy. Also has this, looks like a little bit of some resistance right around here. Potentially a little bit of a reversal setup. I don't love this like super chunky volume though. It's kind of gross. I think this is an oil stock. Yeah, so it looks like the oil stocks are getting a bid. CRGY, let's just kind of go through anything that pops up. D-Dog. I love D-Dog. Great name. Getting through that SMA, has maybe some horizontal resistance here. SILV was a nice one earlier today, but missed my entry, so I got out of the trade. I'm going to look at D-Dog on an H1 chart, so just some live looking here. See if we can find some nice longs. Beautiful move on D-Dog. So this is what I call a gap compression break. Gap up, compresses, 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 breaks out at 1055, right when the market starts to find a bid, and then actually has a nice move up to that 200-day SMA. Broke through. The volume is pretty decent. I do like this move on D-Dog. I'm looking at this chart, and I am seeing what the heck is happening. If there's any sort of major support and resistance. Okay, well, you can see that there's certainly some levels here. This is a pretty choppy stock, and the problem is that it's like with these high volume candles, there's just a huge kind of web of TA that the stock has to go through. So this is obviously this is probably going to show up as a 1OL balance trend line, but that's a big trend line in play. If I just zoom out, see the general trend, you can see that it is a downward sloping trend, something like that. So maybe something like this is valid. That seems like a pretty valid trend line, something like that. So you see this is a wide bearish channel. So you can trade on both sides. Super choppy, super chunky. This is a nice break technically if we just look at the price action itself. So we probably have some room to sustain movement here. But a couple of possible stopping areas. If I just draw some high volume candles, that could come into play. Looks like that could come into play here. We got this high volume candle from here. So it just kind of has a whole bunch of shit to go through. Although I'm not sure where this high volume candle is coming from. Looks like it's kind of coming from here. Not sure how valid that is. That's still maybe. It may not be as valid. I mean, the main one really. I mean, huge volume coming in right around here. Right, tons of touches. So I just draw a whole bunch of trend lines, and then when I see this sort of congestion, that tells me that, hey man, don't even trade through that because it's going to be a mess. You can see how there's all these little levels that it rub up through again, and it actually finally broke out. But it is looking decent. Maybe potentially take it on an an HA reversal here, or an LRSI pullback. Set alert here. So that could be the pick. I'm gonna tag that right now. Let's take a look at some of the other picks that's coming up. Futu still going strong. The Chinese tickers have been great for day trading, although it's reacting from that prior high from this candle. So I'd be pretty careful on that. Set an alert at the high of the day. If this level holds and we kind of bounce back up, we could have a nice move there. Illumina. Hey, that's a nice move. That is a nice breakout. Okay. Illumina. Decent volume. See if there's any sort of major TA coming up. Okay, so there is a couple of little levels. I think the main one that I would be careful of is probably this candle. And then this other high volume candle over here. Let's see if there's any coming up over here. I mean, that's kind of it. Yeah, that's kind of it for a while. Okay. So we definitely have some room until there. Could work. New buy signal too. Some volume coming in. Broke through the high of the day. Getting out over here. Yeah, I like Illumina over here. I like this setup. I think that is going to be my pick of the day. Illumina long. You can do it as a day trade or a swing, depending on how bullish you are. A short-term swing. I think a PDS could work, but the liquidity is pretty garbage. So you can see. You can just check maybe the strikes. You can check the IV. Let's look at, I don't know, just take a 2-week out position here. See the volume on this. Maybe want to go a little bit deeper in the money. Nope, looking at puts. I should be looking at calls. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the 135 calls or something. That seems more likely. Something like that if you want to do that. I'll probably be trading shares. So yeah, Illumina is probably the pick of the day. And we're going to leave it at that. Our bias is that this market low of the day will hold, and that we'll probably test the high of the day. No, that's what we're thinking on Illumina. All right, so that's your pick of the day to day trade. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will take a look at how this pick did on Monday's video.